Hello, welcome to my channel. Banri Tada, a freshman law student at a Tokyo university, ended up arriving late for his entrance ceremony. Not knowing how to get to the university, he discreetly followed two other students and meets Mitsuo Yanagisawa, another freshman, who quickly befriended him. As they made their way to their orientation, they were greeted by a beautiful young woman, who presented Mitsuo with a bouquet of roses and then proceeded to smack him with them before leaving. On his way home, he encounters Kouko once more. She had used his phone to find Mitsuo, but when he handed it back, he saw the hospital's phone number, which made him recall an incident where he was on a bridge and appeared to have been driven over by a motorbike. Banri has a dream of himself, apparently injured, and fleeing from a hospital, but upon awakening cannot remember any more than that. Arriving at the university gate, Banri meets Kouko, who was waiting for Mitsuo, and the two talk some more, with Banri noticing that Kouko seems lonely without Mitsuo. Later that night, when Banri mentions Kouko to Mitsuo, the latter dismisses the information, claiming Kouko is only acting in this way to entice Banri to bring her to him. Mitsuo invites Banri to the film club's opening party to lighten the atmosphere, and Chinami, a club member, convinces Mitsuo to join. The following day, Banri observes that Kouko is still without friends and makes an effort to get her to join a club. Another student overhears them and invites the two to a cafe to tell them about her club, which lasts until night, and ends up inviting the both of them on her club's overnight trip to see if they would be willing to join. Still wanting to help Kouko, Banri decides to accompany Kouko when she agrees to go. On the day of the scheduled club trip, Banri meets up with Kouko and Nijijin, who were also invited. When the club members arrive to pick up the attendants, Banri becomes suspicious of them when he notices they all wear a similar pendant, and more so when they bring the group to a remote location. The club then reveals itself as a cult that wishes for Banri's group to join them, but Banri manages to convince them to let others go, and that they can help him. As the others leave, Kouko decides to stay with Banri, and the two ultimately can escape and hide in the woods. Banri in turn reveals that his story about having amnesia was not a lie and that he feels that his family and friends want the current Banri to disappear and have the old Banri return, and while he sympathizes with their wishes, he does not want to lose being his current self. When the pair hears the cult members looking for them, they flee further into the woods, until they are found by Linda. After being found by Linda, she explains that she was out on a club retreat with the festival club, and brings Banri and Kouko to their campsite. Kouko asks Mitsuo if their time together meant nothing to him, and Mitsuo replies that while he treasures their time together, he only sees her as a childhood friend. Kouko angrily yells at him to forget their history, resulting in Mitsuo leaving, and Kouko yelling at him to disappear but realizes her words were hurtful to Banri, causing her to continuously apologize in tears. After a few hours, Kouko and Banri are invited by a girl called Nana to her concert, and Kouko goes to vent her frustration, but is thrown out, and spends the night at Banri's apartment. During the night, Banri and Kouko talk, where Kouko reveals she needs him, while Banri confesses his love for her. After she leaves, she texts Banri encouraging him to not forget about his lost memories, which motivates him to return to his home in Shizuoka, where he finds a scrapbook containing pictures of himself and Linda in high school together. After finding the photo of him and Linda, Banri runs to the bridge where the accident that caused his amnesia occurred to remember more, but cannot. Unbeknownst to him, the spirit of the 18-year-old Banri Tada watches him and explains that the fall caused his 18-year-old spirit, and all his memories, to leave his body and that he cannot be seen or heard by the current Banri. After finding the photo of him and Linda, Banri runs to the bridge where the accident that caused his amnesia occurred to remember more, but cannot. Unbeknownst to him, the spirit of the 18-year-old Banri Tada watches him and explains that the fall caused his 18-year-old spirit, and all his memories, to leave his body and that he cannot be seen or heard by the current Banri. That night, Banri recalls the memory from when he escaped the hospital. He had seen a flashing light from his window, and when he snuck out to see what it was, he discovered it was Linda, and as the two talked, it is revealed that she was the one who inspired Banri to come to Tokyo. Banri wonders why Linda has not mentioned any of this to him, and the spirit of Banri laments that he cannot tell the current Banri how important Linda was to him. In a dream, Banri remembers that after his love confession fronts her for not telling him they previously knew each other. Linda explains that she said nothing out of fear of confusing him and driving him away, while also admitting her guilt and feeling she caused Banri's accident by not responding to his confession sooner. She's taken to the police station for bicycle. Banri wishes for the same. The episode ends when Kouko calls Banri about Mitsuo being in trouble. In a flashback, Banri overhears Linda saying she does not see him as a lover, causing him to ignore her for days. She then apologizes, saying she did not mean what she said. Banri forgives her and the spirit of Banri reminisces that was when things changed between the two and left him wondering if Linda did like him. Banri goes to check on Mitsuo after a call from Kouko and finds him depressed due to telling Chinami to stay away from him due to rumors about her rejecting him. Afterward, they all spend the night at Banri's apartment, but while everyone sleeps, Banri texts Linda, who was next door, and they meet on the balcony. After reminiscing about their old relationship, Banri asks Linda what her feelings for him were in the past, and she responds that she only saw him as a friend. While seemingly accepting this, Banri blacks out for a moment and yells about his desire to go back to that time, shocking them both. Kouko suddenly falls ill and does not come to school for several days. When she does return, Banri notices she is dejected, but she denies anything is wrong until she breaks down in tears and relays to Banri her fears that he might one day leave her. Banri reassures her he will not. In a flashback to the summer of their third year in high school, Linda tells Banri that she learned that her brother's fiancé was having an affair, and gets him to help her expose it. When the two photographs the affair, Linda has a change of heart and deletes all the photos, and instead confronts her brother's fiancé and tells her she will keep it secret, but never let it happen again. Banri comforts Linda by saying she is not alone, and that he will bear the lies she knows with her. In the present time, Banri and Linda meet and talk, where Banri mentions Kouko is sick again, while Linda mentions her family and brother. The spirit of Banri who witnessed this regrets that he did not confess his true feelings for Linda at the moment she sought reassurance from him, and notes that it is too late for them. However, the next morning, the spirit of Banri awakens to find himself back inside his physical body. Ghost Banri, having awakened back in his physical body, feels the urge to see Linda. He slips and falls, hitting his chin on the floor. He returns to being new Banri and sees in the mirror Kouko gave him that he has cut his chin. Despite not being a serious injury, Banri feels ill. He discovers the hidden picture of Linda and himself is missing. He tries to go to the hospital by himself, but Nana finds him and takes him there. On the way home he tells Nana that he had the wrong idea about her and that she is nice. She listens with her usual cool attitude. They begin to argue, but Linda stops them for Banri's sake. Linda admits that Nana took care of him first. Everyone discusses summer vacation plans and decides to go to the beach together. She admits that she wanted to go to the beach only with him, and asks if he will take her when he's better. She further states that it doesn't have to be Paris, referring to her ideal, first-time, location. Banri promises that he will take her once summer vacation arrives. Banri and Kouko ride the train and discuss Kouko's new festival club nicknamed Robogirl, so named because she looks like a robot when she dances. They look forward to the Awa Dance Festival and the beach trip they have planned. Banri worries about whether Kouko is the one who took the photo of Linda and him from his apartment. They meet up with the rest of the festival club and discuss the preparations needed before the festival. Afterward, Banri speaks with the upperclassmen and asks for advice about his beach trip with Kouko. Banri visits Nana to pay her back for cab fare and bring her cookies. Upon finding out Banri needs money, Nana invites him to be a waiter at a weekend party. She also insists he brings Mitsuo with him. Mitsuo resists the idea until the tea club tries to recruit them for questionable employment. At the party, Banri finds himself dressed as a maid. The party host offers Mitsuo an extra 10,000 yen to wear nothing but a flesh-colored speedo, which he accepts. While waiting on partygoers, Banri sees that Linda is also working at the party dressed as a devil girl. Banri Tada is enjoying working as a waiter at the party. Meanwhile, Kouko has texted Banri numerous times and is becoming concerned that he hasn't answered. Some of the guests see Banri and Linda together and insist on taking their picture. Incensed, she throws a drink in Banri's face and slaps him. Linda tries to apologize but Nana stops her and Banri takes Kouko away to the fitting room. The couple apologizes to one another and Kouko returns the picture of Banri and Linda, much to his surprise. The next morning, Banri tells Linda that he wants to talk with her. Beside the river, he asks if she loved the old Banri. She replies that she only thought of him as a friend. Banri then tries to rip the picture of them together, with the ghost of the old Banri looking on and saying no. He drops the picture, which Linda then picks up. Banri gets to his feet and tells her to pretend that they are just strangers, as he wants to cut ties with the past. The next morning, Kouko and Banri take a picture together, forming new memories for just the two of them. As Ghost Banri watches, Banri dreams about when he was in the hospital and met with Linda, and about the message he was supposed to pass along to her friend. Later, the festival club gathers at the Awa Dance Festival and prepares to perform. The festival is about to start, so the other club members start to abandon Kouko where she sits. Afterward, Kouko and Banri enjoy the festival together and get ready to watch the fireworks. Ghost Banri watches nearby, lamenting that he still loves Linda and that Banri has rejected the feelings he left behind. It suddenly starts to rain, forcing Kouko and Banri to seek shelter. Later, Banri receives word that the festival club's camp has been cancelled. He sees Kouko get out of a cab in front of his building, so he waits by the elevator to surprise her. As the doors open he does a peekaboo greeting. Later, he wishes he could ask Kouko not to go to Barcelona and stay with him. He sadly wonders if Kouko will leave him someday. 2D, Kun calls Banri and tells him that he heard Banri was lonely. He offers to hang out, but Banri already has plans with Kouko. As they discuss their wish to hang out with Mitsuo, Kouko arrives and overhears the conversation. She is suspicious until Banri hands over the phone and she discovers it is 2D, Kun to whom Banri is speaking. Finding out that Mitsuo may have a girlfriend, she formulates a plan to determine her identity and enlists Banri's and 2D, Kun's help. They turn out to be school swimsuits. Okachan likes the idea and films them while wearing the swimsuits. Day of the trip to the beach, the group encounters several mishaps on the journey. It starts with Kouko and Banri meeting Nijijin at the wrong place, and delays in picking up Chinami and Mitsuo. Heavy traffic slows their exit from the city. It rains despite contrary forecasts. The group arrives in the middle of a rainstorm. Needing to use the restroom, Kouko gets out of the car in her swimsuit, and the rest of the group follows. The rain stops and the group enjoys their beach day. With Nijijin feeling exhausted, Kouko instead drives the car back home. Moments before the car swerves out of control, Banri wakes up and hits the brakes, causing the car to come to a complete stop after colliding with the guardrail. The accident gives Chinami a bloody lip, dents the car's bumper, and damages the guardrail. The group is escorted back to the city by the police. Upon arrival, Kouko gets slapped by her father, and the trip to Barcelona is cancelled. On the next day, Banri, Mitsuo, Chinami, and Nijijin meet with all of them taking responsibility. Banri feels the most at fault for not keeping Kouko awake. Banri goes to Kouko's home to talk with her, finding Kouko unwilling to get out of bed. Banri tells Kouko that despite needing to grow up she needs to remain true to herself. Kouko tells Banri about a dream she had where she was riding in a car with Banri and at a place where they are told to stop the car, Kouko gets off and the car drives away, which makes her believe that if Banri should regain his memories that he would fall in love with Linda instead of her. Kouko's father enters her room and orders Banri to cook some ramen, while Kouko returns to bed. Banri arrives at the Golden Time restaurant where the festival club is setting up for a gathering at the fireworks extravaganza. The club members are strangely welcoming and eerily nice, which sets Banri on edge. He figures out that they are trying to comfort him after his and Kouko's supposed breakup. But when Kouko arrives they clear up the confusion, only to create a new misunderstanding with former fourth-year members elsewhere. At the club where Linda works, Mitsuo and Linda talk while she cleans and Mitsuo asks if telling her about the accident was a bad thing. The next day, 2D, Kouko, and Mitsuo are enjoying a treat at a cafe, and Mitsuo and 2D discuss what they think they know about Banri's true situation with his amnesia. When Mitsuo asks Kouko about it she deflects the question and focuses on other things, leaving Mitsuo to brood on this newfound knowledge. Kouko enters Banri's apartment alone after going through his mail because she misses him so much. After throwing a tantrum and sniffing Banri's pillow, she tries to get a hold of herself by doing the exorcist. Nana catches her in the act, then suggests that Kouko do that during Nana's next show, but Kouko refuses. Kouko then tackles Nana in a stranglehold, trying to get Nana to not tell Banri that she went into Banri's room and did what she did while he wasn't there. After Linda uses the same technicality to win the game, the class catches up at the party with many of his classmates warmly welcoming him despite his not remembering any of them. He tries to save the ghost Banri but ghost Banri forces himself to fall, and the new Banri drops his mirror and breaks it, wondering if his memories are returning. Banri discusses the event of the ghost Banri falling from the bridge with a doctor, who can do nothing more than provide a sedative for him. On the train ride back to Tokyo, Banri remembers how ghost Banri tried to take over his body before and now wonders why ghost Banri has given up. Linda and Banri argue about Mitsuo coming to the club, and they end up discussing it calmly later on. Linda reveals their dinners together, but also how she's been unable to simply accept Mitsuo's interest in her and has been keeping her distance from him, which is why they had this argument. While they talk, Chinami arrives to talk to Banri about his friendliness with Linda and how it's inappropriate. After Chinami admonishes Banri for being too friendly with Linda because she's the girl Mitsuo likes, Banri catches up with Kouko to share everything that happened. Kouko and Banri talk about Chinami, and they both realize that they are okay with their former likes liking others. Banri then considers giving Kouko his mother's ring as the moment is perfect but realizes he didn't bring it. During the performance, Banri has a mental break as his past self reasserts itself and he freaks out and runs away. Linda and Kouko go after him. Linda finds him later as Banri tries to figure out what's happened to him. When Linda brings up Kouko, his new self returns, but now Banri fears that old Banri is going to take him over again. After the incident at the Awa Dance Festival, Banri fears losing himself as his memories from before his accident return. Kouko tries to comfort Banri by having dinner with their friends at his apartment as he plans to tell them about his background and other recent troubles. Things go sour when Banri tries to invite Chinami but agreed to come nonetheless. He storms out of his apartment but not before telling Linda and the others to not tell Kouko that his memories are returning, not realizing that Chinmai was filming the conversation. Kouko refuses to accept the ring Banri had presented to her and seemingly ended their relationship. Stunned by Kouko's words, Banri waits for Kouko where she had rejected him, hoping Kouko would come back. Hours pass and Banri meets Kouko's father, who drives Banri home. After Kouko lashes out, Chinami tells Banri that Kouko may have seen the clip of Banri's anxiety attack. Staying optimistic, Banri later informs Linda and the president of the festival club of his breakup with Kouko. Banri and Linda argue. Banri reveals to Mitsuo his past relationship with Linda and apologizes for not telling him. Kouko then appears as she hands down a letter of resignation from the club to its president until Banri cuts her off, causing her to leave with Banri calling out to Kouko. Banri confronts Kouko. Kouko explains the reason why she decided to resign from the festival club is due to Banri's unwillingness to be in the same place as her. Banri reveals to Kouko that his memories from before his accident are returning and he would eventually return to his former self. His memories since the accident will disappear. After returning to his senses, Banri plans to return to his hometown, feeling certain that his memories and former self will return. Meanwhile, Banri reconciles with Mitsuo. During the Awa dance performance, Banri narrates how moments and feelings are born and later die. Afterward, Banri states that he indeed returned to his former self with his memories since his accident now lost. Upon losing his recent memories, Banri returns to his hometown. After fiddling with the notes he made for himself before the return of his former memories, Banri opens his email account and discovers that someone has been sending emails to Kouko under his name. Linda and Banri seem to have returned to their easy friendship, with Linda spending Christmas with the Tada family. The latter then crosses the bridge after Linda appears and gives her a reply to his feelings with a yes, and hands Banri the ring he had dropped at the bridge days before. Afterward, Banri embraces Kouko and the two recall their promise, that as long as they remember one another, the two will stay together for the rest of their lives. They profess their love for one another and Banri presents his ring to Kouko, which she gladly accepts. While watching his recording, Banri thanks Kouko for being by his side. Banri later returns to Tokyo and attends university with his friends. His relationship with Kouko is still intact. Mitsuo and Linda are shown flirting while Kouko and Banri kiss with Kouko wearing the ring Banri gave her.